Test, 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 test. Test, test, test. Okay, good. All right, here's my question to you. What's the biggest... If... Hello? If my biggest responsibility to my ancestors is to have baby boys that will carry on the dynasty, who do I not want around these women?
Men.
My sons? Ian, you dirty, dirty-minded. Oh my God, what are you suggesting, Ian?
No, but that's
If my sons are around the concubines, what?
but that's what you said before. Like, you said that I think like back in the Zhou or Shang dynasty.
Okay, let's not bring up ancient history. Who else do I not want around my concubines and my empresses beside my sons?
The advisors.
Okay, do you see why this guy cannot be in the inner court? Do you see why these guys cannot be in the inner court?
But then you just.
Who else cannot be in the inner court? Anybody who can make babies with his baby maker cannot be in the inner court.
He has no trust for
What
anyone.
about eunuchs? Yeah, eunuchs.
Hold on. As Ian said, these guys become a problem. At what age do they become a problem? Oh, I did bring this up, I remember, because I was asking you guys to verify from your own personal experience that at a certain age, you suddenly become a problem. Don't trust any of you around a concubine, right? Even if it's my concubine, I can't trust you because you're out of control, raving, insane, hormone-driven demons. So, at what point do we kick the kids out and get them away from the concubines? When they hit puberty. Okay, everybody squirm all together now. 1, 2, 3. Squirm. So who does that leave there? Can aunts be around? Yeah. They could be. They probably aren't. Sisters, they could be around. They can come in because they're not going to get any concubines or empresses pregnant. And when the sons hit a certain age, they're gone. Now, to drive it home, obviously, you need men in the inner court. Why do you need men in the inner court? What sorts of tasks would an emperor need men in there to take care of? Security, thank you. You need bodyguards. You need a palace militia or guard, a palace guard, right? And so you need soldiers in there. Well, good God in heaven, anybody who knows anything about military service, you're not going to let fully bodied soldiers around concubines. That's just, no, you don't do that. I'm a veteran, I know. What other tasks do you need people in the emperor's palace to carry out? Cleaning. You can probably have women clean, but you're close. What sorts of things could women not do? Cooking, women can cook. Construction, any heavy lifting sort of right? What about carrying those big bronze vessels? Those things are bloody heavy, right? You need men. And so this brings up our last element of the inner court. I'm going to put boy sons in there just so that we're clear, right? Once their voices change and hair starts sprouting, get them out of there. Dangerous. Will Robinson. You don't know what I'm talking about because you're too young. You're still wet from afterbirth. Yes, and so we have eunuchs. What do eunuchs do? Again, we just said it. They do 3 things. They are the military guard. Just because at some point in your life a surgeon took a razor and literally sliced through your penis and your testicles, removing what the Chinese so artfully and graciously term the 3 preciouses. Please write it down. You want to remember that? It's intellectual cocktail party material. You know what the Chinese called losing their junk? They call it losing their 3 preciouses. 1, 2, 3. All right, or depending. 1, 2, 3. All right. So Edutainment, isn't it fun? All right, shut up, Chris, with that freaking... Just because they lost their junk does not mean that they lost, they're still strong and durable, right? Okay, they still have muscles, they can still fight and all sort of things. Don't mistake them for sissies. That's my point. Don't mistake concubines, by the way, for prostitutes. They are secondary wives. They were sumptuary. They had ranks. They had sumptuary allowances, colors they could wear, jewelry they could have, all sorts of stuff. There were 9. You had a platoon of concubines. I just find it all so interesting to dwell on. They did housework, and then finally, wait a minute. What else is missing here? Who do you need to turn these boys? Are you going to let your boys leave the palace when they could be future emperors? No, why not? Why would you not let a future emperor who's 6 years old out into the city?
They could die.
They could die? What? Yeah, they could die because... What other things could happen to them?
Get sick.
Being influenced by outside? Kidnap? Any number of things. You're going to guard their safety with your life. No, you're not. You're going to somebody else's life. You're the emperor. So that means you cannot send them out. What do they need, though, from the outside world in order to turn into the Confucian emperor that they are supposed to be to keep the mandate of heaven? Teachers. So what are you going to do? They need an educator. How are you going to educate him? James, how are you going to educate this kid? He can't go outside. A eunuch becomes a teacher?
Yes. His future spawn turned into a eunuch.
Have the women educated.
I want to put a question mark by that. Because it seems odd that eunuchs would be... There were such things as imperial tutors. And I have to ask myself, I'm going to have to fact check myself here. Notice I know when I don't know. Confucius would say, good on you, Clay, you're smart. You know when you don't know. I'm not sure if the imperial tutors were eunuchs or not. Either there was some, yeah.
I thought, at least for the house workers, didn't it say that they were like rebels from the south or barbarians or something that they had captured?
Yeah, and so captives you would then castrate. So where do eunuchs come from? They're either poor people who are so desperately poor that they actually would go to the servant whose job it was to castrate people, right? And so you go, you give them 50 pieces of silver, plug it with a piece of, just wadding cotton, just plug it in the urethra so it doesn't close shut, and then you can't your faucet doesn't work. Keep that thing open, and then they wear diapers for the rest of their lives because they're incontinent. They can't control their bladder, so they wear diapers the rest of their lives. It's a very, very, very undignified and frowned upon existence. But if you're dirt poor, some people did actually volunteer for it. You know what? It'd be nice to live in Forbidden City and be guaranteed a job and a meal and hanging out with Obama. I'll lose my junk. I'm dirt poor. I don't get to use it anyway. Okay, now. Are you ready to? I want you to turn and I want you to look at this. Where do you think that okay, let's do it one by one. This is a thinking time. I've done a lot of setup. Now start thinking about it, because this is where it gets fun, and this is where if you are open-minded enough and trusting enough, watching traditional Chinese drama is addictive, because the drama that comes from this setup in the inner court is just like Western soap operas don't come close to the soap opera drama. And so now let's start imagining how these conflicts work. Look at the board. Who do you see as natural rivals, enemies, and conspirators? What sorts of different groups are going to form into cafeteria cliques who are like, plotting to take down the other cafeteria clique? Look at it and tell me. You can talk to yourselves for a minute. You got homework? Yes, no?
Was there more than one empress?
The empress would be the wife of the dead. Well, no. No. Sorry. Every emperor had one wife. And then he had concubines. Only one wife. So when the emperor dies, I'll go ahead and give you this language. It's not hard, you just won't know it, and some of you were too lazy to look stuff up. So you call the mom, the widow, you call her the empress? Dowager. Being a firm believer in knowing how to think in terms of Greek and Latin roots, you actually see this weird word, dowager. You see a root that is from a very common word that you know. What's the root in here from a very common word? Wait. The Empress Dowager, what's the definition of her?
It's the
Widow. Okay, what word did you just say? Widow. What root do you see? Dowager. A widow. Dowager. What do we call a man whose wife has died? Oh, a widower. So in any case, the Empress Dowager, that's the mom. What are they all going to be fighting for?
The emperor's respect.
The emperor's respect? That's one thing. What else are they going to be fighting for longer term?
Whose sons will be
To get their son on the throne. Now, by rights, whose son should inherit the throne?
the emperors.
The empress's son should inherit the throne. He's got dibs. But you can bet that the concubines are going to... Now, so... Why might an emperor side with a concubine against the empress? Here it starts getting fun. Just imagine. Start writing the script. Why would an emperor maybe side with a concubine against his wife? Oh, you haven't been married
She's bored.
because she's boring. What other reasons might a concubine? Why might a concubine be more exciting than an empress? Younger. Again, how many concubines do I have? And is there any sort of, deadline by which I can get no more concubines? No, I get a fresh crop every year if I want it, right? It's nice to be the emperor, right? So you got these young, luscious women coming into your court every year, and meanwhile there's wifey over there, right? Over and over and over again, you've got the greatest soap operas where the concubines start twisting the emperor around their little fingers in order to, maybe kill her son, maybe poison him. But the empress has so much power because she's been there longer, and so you start seeing people pick sides.
So the concubines ultimately want to become the next empress
Yes.
through their sons.
Yes, or queen mother.
Oh, right.
Kind of thing. So the emperor's mom can't be called the queen mother if she wasn't. But yada yada. But do you get where I'm going with that? How do these guys work? Especially, okay. Besides a tutor, by the way, here's the last thing on the units. Haley, besides having a teacher as a boy, what else do you need as a boy? In terms of just your boyhood, like, you know, your dad wants you to have a teacher, but what else does your dad want to have you in this absolutely female world?
Sports.
Sports, thank you. And for sports, you need male companionship. You need men to play with. But they can't be men who can, like, walk next door to the concubines and make a few babies. Or to the queen, by the way, who might think that the king's kind of unattractive and old, right? So it's not like these women are like total victims either. So these guys are also like what? Like companions. They're simple companions to the princes. Playmates. Playmates. When one of these boys does, when he dies, and one of these boys does become emperor, who's their best friend? These eunuchs that they had known since childhood. They were adults, they have gotten close to this little boy. Picture your favorite uncle or whatever, right? These are all the things that go on in the inner court. Now let's talk about my computer, which is not here. Let's talk about the decline of the Han Dynasty, of the Eastern Han. Okay, are we doing... yeah, okay, there we are. Huh? So there it was. Oh, well. If this is the inner court, the outer court is going to be all those other people. Your advisors, your chief ministers, your chancellors, your Confucians. Write it down, please. Outer court, Confucian, top dogs, Confucian chancellors. It's not up there. I just asked you to write it down. Inner court is all of this soap opera stuff. A man surrounded by his harem and his queen and his eunuchs. The outer court would be the top officials, the most powerful advisors. And think about it. This is a Confucian cabinet now. The Secretary of Defense, the Secretary of Public Works, the Secretary of Education, the Secretary of everything, they're all Confucians. And so when they're looking at this crazy soap opera stuff, what is their biggest concern? What are they like observing this emperor for? He's got to keep the mandate of heaven. And so they are very, very, they're the principal. They're the ones looking at this guy and saying, is he doing the right thing constantly? The outer court is the one who's like observing and advising him, hey, watch out for these eunuchs. They're starting to control you way too much. Watch out for that concubine. She's starting to control you. We're concerned about how much money you're spending on your concubines. It's the people's money. On and on and on. Towards the end of the Eastern Han, a lot of weak emperors took power, and we see the rise of the eunuchs. These eunuchs, under weak, lame-brained emperors, can make the emperors like them, make the emperors want to please them, and make the emperors give them a lot of money. I mean a lot of money. Serious corruption. Taxpayers, peasants' money that they would then siphon off to their families. Yes, I don't have any children, but you know what? Strangely enough, they started adopting kids, these eunuchs. And they would like give money and buy land for their adopted kids to keep their family going. All weird stuff. or to my brother, to my mom and dad, right? And so the eunuchs start like leeching money off of. The Confucians see it and they protest against it. My God, you're losing the mandate of heaven here. The people are giving taxes, they're not seeing anything in return for it. The education sucks, the dams are breaking. Hurricane Katrina just happened, on and on and on. But the eunuchs, because they are part of the imperial bodyguard, they actually do this in the late, we're talking 180 or so CE. The imperial bodyguard actually rounds up the cabinet members, the top Confucians, in the capital, and they execute them in front of the emperor's palace. It is a massacre of the Confucian scholars. Picture Obama's Secretary of Defense and Secretary of State and Secretary of the Economy and head of the Fed and all those people being taken outside and shot by Obama's like sort of pardon posse. And so things just start going downhill very fast. To be more serious for a second, I'm astonished at how quickly, and you are too young to realize this, but just hear it. Decline can happen like that. Is anybody aware of how fast America is declining right now? It is one crisis after another, and it's been happening just in the past 6 years. We're like going, good God in heaven, look at this. America has just like gone into, both engines have lost, and the plane is just like nosediving. It is uncanny how fast things can go down south. And it happens here in the Han, in a mere 2-3 decades. The Han Dynasty just plummets because of a couple of bad rulers. And we will pick up the story with our yellow turbans next class. Does anybody have any questions before we do?
So this was all still centralized bureaucracy?
Yes. Yes. But when those bureaucrats in the provinces sent their tax monies to the capital and such, where did it go? To the eunuchs. It didn't go to the good people. Look at the unemployment rate in America today. Look at the underemployment rate in America today. It's all so relevant. Okay, Monday morning, you are welcome to, after you rinse your cups and turn them face down, quietly walk the halls and move about your business. I'll see you next class. Let me ask you to finish reading, I will put this up, I'm going to ask you to finish reading the Han Dynasty chapter. It's a few pages.
The test is next class.
Oh yeah, you've got, okay, so I take that back, thank you. You can read the Han Dynasty thing after you're done. Bye, Katie.